This is the second segment that CNN did with Angela Rye and Rudy Giuliani. My problem with most Rudy Giuliani interviews is that whoever the moderator is tends to allow this guy to filibuster, and he gets much more time than the person that he is supposedly debating with or is issuing an opposite viewpoint. And that is evident here by the fact that Angela Rye didn't get anywhere near as much time in responses to questions from the moderator. Here is an additional clip. Now, and I'm going to make a comment at the end regarding something that Giuliani says.
All right, we're back with former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani and Angela Rye, CNN political commentator and former executive director of the Congressional Black Caucus. And I want to start this blog, Angela, with this video. We know that Hillary Clinton doesn't have any rallies or events planned today, but her campaign released a new video overnight discussing Donald Trump and Russia. Here's a portion of that video.
Perhaps one more reason why we're not seeing his tax returns, because he is deeply involved in dealing with Russian oligarchs.
Is he getting money from Russia? Is his business built on Russian loans?
That's about 25 seconds of maybe a minute and 20-second ad. It ends with, "We'll let you guess." I wonder, Angela, is this not the same tone, the same innuendo that the Clinton campaign complained about from the Sanders camp in the discussion of Wall Street speeches without drawing a direct connection? They're now doing this against Donald Trump. If there is some accusation that Trump is carrying Putin's water or something like that, why not just simply make it instead of just throwing it out there and saying, "We'll let you guess"?
So I think it's clear in the ad that they're not in a position to make any affirmative statements right now about Trump's dealings with Putin. They don't have the evidence of that. What they do have is this DNC email hack. They do have the fact that when Robbie Wolf went on TV and said that this is something that we can attribute to Russia, there was this outcry of how dare you, and then of course these hacks were attributed to Russia. So there are some challenges here in trying to understand what is Russia's interest in this election, if not to destroy the Democratic Party or to try to tear it apart, and they were unsuccessful, but they haven't done the same thing with the RNC. So it is highly questionable. What is their interest here? There also seems to be this love affair with Putin and Trump. They're constantly complimenting one another, and I think that a reasonable person would ask questions, and I think that's what they did in the ad. It's a good ad. Should there be more clarity from Donald Trump about his connections to Russia? Mr. Mayor.
Well, first of all, I think the last person who should talk about Russia is Hillary Clinton. She reset the relationship with Russia. And since she did that, Putin has been pushing us all over the globe. Ukraine, Crimea. There's an article in the Times today saying that Russia now has the upper hand in Syria. Russia wasn't in Syria before Hillary Clinton became Secretary of State.
But just a week ago, it also appeared Donald Trump didn't know that Russia was in Crimea.
Excuse me. Russia hasn't been in the Middle East for the last 4 decades. It's Obama setting 12 red lines and saying if Assad crossed those lines, he would do something. Assad did. He used chemical weapons, and Obama backed down, and he brought Putin in. Putin.
See, now that is an out-and-out lie, and that's what gets me about Rudy Giuliani. He doesn't have a problem coming on TV and out-and-out lying. Obama issued one red line, okay? And Putin was the one who talked Assad into backing down. That's true. He talked Assad into backing down and getting rid of the chemical weapons. So, Mr. Giuliani, you're lying. Not 12 red lines, one red line. Mr. Putin talked to Mr. Assad. Mr. Assad did not cross that red line, and in fact, got rid of the chemical weapons so that we did not have to get involved directly with a war that you and the other war hawks were clamoring to get into, which would have placed us not just in 2 wars, but 3. The American people had no appetite for getting into another war. President Obama issued his red line. It wasn't crossed, and we didn't enter into a direct war with Assad in Syria. So you're wrong.
Couldn't do any better.
But what about the
Under
clarity
any
from Donald
administration.
Trump, Mr. Mayor, about any connections to Russia? Should he
Donald
be clear?
Trump has no substantial connections to Russia
No substantial.
that I know of. I don't know his business.
No substantial connections? Now we need to know what the word substantial means. So apparently Mr. Giuliani knows about some financial connections that Trump has in Russia. Now we really need to see those damn tax returns. And I don't want to hear any bullshit that you can't tell anything from a tax return. You get a tax return with all of the proper schedules and backup documentation, you can tell what somebody had for breakfast, lunch, and what color their underwear is.
In great detail, but I know it fairly well. And he has no substantial connections to Russia.
Releasing his
Now-
taxes
now-
would offer that clarity, would it not?
Pardon me?
Releasing his taxes would offer more clarity, would it
Well,
not?
I mean, first of all, the reality is your taxes wouldn't tell you whether or not you have investments from Russia. Yeah.
Bullshit. Your taxes, schedules, and backup documentation would tell you exactly where your investments are. So that's a lie.
And to do that, you'd have to do quite an examination of the business books and records. There's also this whole issue of there are a lot of people, a lot of Russians who are anti-Putin who have invested in the United States. I happen to represent some of them, by the way. So the fact that you got Russian money doesn't mean you're necessarily aligned with Putin. In fact, Putin is very much against money leaving Russia. So if you're telling me money's coming out of Russia, I would tell you probably 2 out of 3 times you're talking about money coming from anti-Putin people who are trying to protect their assets against Putin possibly taking it away from them.
All right, he's spinning here. He's absolutely spinning. Other people's money have nothing to do with Donald Trump. We want to know if Donald Trump has investments and ties to Putin or Putin's buddies in Russia. And that's what the schedules and the backup documentations are for within the tax returns. There are specific areas that you have to fill out regarding foreign investments, and you have to name them.
That's why it's a ridiculous ad.
Victor.
And it shows a complete lack of knowledge of how Russia operates. But after all, it's this administration that has allowed Russia to push us around the world.
Mr. Mayor, we're running low on time. Angela, you got 10 seconds here, but then I want to get to something else.
It's going to be quicker
Angela.
than that, Victor. This is a perfect example of why this is a great ad. If it takes you this long to explain it, you've got a challenge on your hands.
All right, so there also out of this new Washington Post poll, 74% of respondents disapprove of Donald Trump's handling of the criticisms from the family of Captain Humayun Khan, who was killed by a car bomb back in 2004, spoke at the DNC. When Donald Trump was asked about his really bad week that just passed a couple of days ago, this is what he said.
Someone who touts poll numbers so much, I mean, are you worried about that? Following some of these issues and some of your poll numbers dropping, would you have changed anything?
Well, I guess maybe I would have, but as an example, we had so much fun that day, and that turns out to be. But oftentimes we'll have something that's so great, and they'll write about it badly, or they'll report it badly, which is, unfortunate. It's really not this. It's really very dishonest. But yeah, I guess you do things a little bit differently, or somewhat differently. Maybe I would have done a little bit less, frankly, because we were doing a lot of work and we were working very hard, drawing tremendous crowds, having a lot of fun, putting out a good word, and maybe I would have done less of that.
All right, now, He specifically is talking about his rallies, okay? The Khan family never came to mind, or if it did, he didn't want to open his mouth and say his dealings with the Khan family. He, again, was specifically talking about doing less, and I don't know how you do that, with his rallies. Watch Mr. Giuliani try to spin it.
Okay, so when asked how he would have changed anything last week, which was really difficult for him, he said that he would have done less work, held fewer rallies. You've spoken with Donald Trump, I'm sure. Do you know if he now regrets that exchange with the Khan family?
Well, I think that's what he said, right? He said he wished he had done less of it. But the reality...
No, that's not what he said in relationship to the Khan family. So there's Mr. Giuliani trying to spin again.
He said he'd done less of the rallies, of the work. That's what his answer was.
Well, I think what he meant was he would have stayed off the issue as much as he stayed on the issue. But I mean, the simple fact is that the media doesn't treat the two candidates the same. I mean.
And Mr. Giuliani, you are absolutely right. Mr. Trump dominates the media, okay? He dominates the media. All of the other people that he ran against in the primaries did not get even 20%. Let's take it up a notch. 30% of the media coverage that Donald Trump received. He received over $2 billion in free media coverage. The other Republican candidates didn't even get 20% of that, not 20%. So, yeah, Mr. Trump benefited greatly from the tremendous amount of media coverage he got. And he was more than happy to claim that that was a good thing. Now you want to reverse it and say that because other people aren't being as covered on things as Mr. Trump, that the media is being unfair. Well, you can't have it both ways.
Hillary Clinton lied to the two women who lost their sons in Benghazi directly to their face and gave them a false story inconsistent with the one she gave her daughter on tape. A false story about why their sons were dead.
Okay, now that's what the women said, and I am not disparaging the women, because you can have various people, and there are some people that agreed with the line that Hillary Clinton gave at the point that those bodies were coming back. People can hear the same words and not receive them in the same way. And that's all I'm going to say about that. I'm going to leave the ladies alone because they claim they heard what they heard. Hillary Clinton claims that she didn't say what they heard, and nobody's ever going to know that one.
And used the Muslim video as the reason when she knew that it was an actually terrorist attack by Al-Qaeda. So now, why not spend as much time on how she insulted grieving widows, grieving mothers, grieving Gold Star mothers, as he did on Donald Trump?
I think on this network we have, but that does not preclude. That does not also spend as much time. Mr. Mayor, that does not also preclude our responsibility to question if Donald Trump insulted a grieving mother of a Gold Star family as well.
You know,
the question was, does he regret it?
I mean, you got to be on Mars if you think you spent as much time on that as you did on Donald Trump.
The question was, does he regret it?
Well, you're going to have to ask him that.
Okay.
I mean.
Okay, but now earlier he was giving us what he thought Mr. Trump meant when he was discussing doing something different. Now, all of a sudden, you have to ask him that. Nah, no. He punted on that one.
We invited you here as a surrogate from the campaign. Rudy Giuliani.
Surrogates from a campaign don't know every single thing that
you
a
guys
person
don't have
thinks
messaging
or
calls.
feels.
You all are
the
on
simple
different
fact
messages.
is, you treat both candidates differently.
He's the only candidate that insulted the parents of a
Hold on, Angela. Finish, Mr. Mayor.
It is an insult.
Nah, see, he should have cut him off right there and let Angelo Rye come back in there, because he's already dominated the amount of time on this particular clip.
Sure the hell would be an insult to me if my son died and you gave me a lie about how they died. That'd be even a bigger insult than what happened with the Khan family.
When was that, Mr. Mayor?
That happened when the bodies were being brought back.
So when was that, Mr. Mayor?
And she went up to the two women who both have said it, and they have said it actually under oath, that she told them, and it was overheard by a third person, that she told them this was because of the Muhammad video. We have a tape recording of her, we all do, we've all heard it, telling her daughter 2 days before that it was a terrorist attack.
All right.
The DNC was less than 2 weeks ago, is my
Republican
point.
convention are livid.
We've got to wrap it here.
Destroyed them.
We've got to wrap
and
it
you
here.
spent a day on it. You
DNC
spending
was less than 2
Mr.
weeks
Mayor,
ago.
Angela Rye, thank you both. We've actually taken this segment much longer than scheduled, but I think it was worth it. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Victor does not know how to handle a, shall we say, cantankerous interview with two opposing bodies. And again, I'm going to say this. Giuliani dominated the amount of spoken time in this clip as well as in the prior section of this clip. Talk, doesn't say anything other than defending his candidate with a lot of double talk and very few facts.